Hello everyone and welcome back to Talk Politics. Today is episode 7. I'm Angus.
I'm Anna and today we have a very special episode.
Yeah, we have two guests today. We have Oscar and Ellie, and it's some pretty substantial news today regarding Nigel Farage. So it's almost a bit of a sort of emergency pod for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And also, thank you to Max Media for coming to our school and allowing us the chance to record this in their pod. This is a temporary set, but I hope you enjoy the set. So yeah, Anna, if you want to...
Great. I'll start this off today. So we had just got the news an hour or so before we started doing this, that Nigel Farage has resigned as the MP for Clacton and will now be standing as the Reform candidate in the by-election. So bit of background context for people. Nigel Farage has been the MP for Clacton since 2024, and I think as politics students we'll all know that. But fun fact, this is his 9th attempt at Westminster seat. He had several unsuccessful attempts until he got the Clacton seat in 2024. Now, the main thing that has been stemming in the past couple of days, I think, has been the investigation into whether he should have declared the £5 million donation, which was given to him before he became an MP. So there is a debate on whether he needed to declare it at all. Yeah. And the thing is, even if he does, and I did my fact checking before, even if he does get re-elected, he will still be subject to an investigation. The thing is, if he resigns and restands, he can't be subject to the recall of MP Acts if his constituents decide they want to remove him.
Okay.
What he has said is that he himself, and I think there is a debate here, is that whether this will give him a stronger mandate. And the people of Clacton, what he has said is, I do this for the people of Clacton to have a stronger mandate. So I'd just like to think what our guests would like to make of the situation.
Personally, I think it's all a big joke. Sure, if he did get re-elected, it would give him a far stronger mandate than he has already, given his public support has dropped. But he's also made comments such as he's doing this as a chance to be able to stick two fingers up at the establishment, and he's trying to act anti-establishment and for the people, which is, it kind of seems to me just a bit of a joke, really, how public opinions of him aren't any good anymore, and how actually he may not get re-elected. He just seems too egotistical and too confident, nearly, that this is just going to boost his popularity, when I don't see it doing anything of the sort.
I mean, I think you're right in the sense that he's not necessarily well-liked personality-wise. I think he does come across a little bit egotistical, but then again, it's almost like he has the right to. He is, I'd argue, one of the most recognisable figures in UK politics at the moment, and of the past 10 years, right? And that's not necessarily to say that Nigel Farage is a good politician by any means, but he is a very, very good speaker, and you can't deny that he or at least the things he says, are popular with the people. You know, he is very good at finding a scapegoat and taking advantage of that. And I think him standing down as the MP for Clacton, I think he mostly thought that was going to be another way to make himself relevant in the media. I think by putting himself out there, a lot of people do just they recognize familiarity and they vote for it. And I think that's one of his biggest concerns, is just making himself a very public figure.
Do you think he needs to reaffirm his publicity?
I don't think so. I think he's very well known, and you know, he can literally be bought with the cameo videos that he makes. He is someone who isn't even in politics anymore. He's not a figurehead for the UK. He's a figurehead for everything. You know, there are so many jokes about him online, clips of him saying, you know, really out of pocket things. For example, up the raw. And I think he's someone who doesn't actually need to reestablish his position in UK, but he's already very relevant. You know, there are a lot of people that agree with him, disagree with him, but I'd say everyone knows who Nigel Farage is.
I think
it's a useless game.
I think definitely he has been one of the most relevant political figures we've had in year, regardless of what you think of him. I think he is one of the most relevant, and you know, this is I think he gets people talking. I think he gets people talking in a way that
like us right now
in years. But part of me wonders, would a win in Clacton re-establish his mandate? Would it give him a stronger mandate if the people of Clacton voted for him? I'd just like to hear takes on that.
Yeah, it definitely would, because that's kind of the definition of an election. It gives the person who gets elected a mandate. It means that people have voted him in. But I'm not sure if it's going to boost his overall publicity. He has been popular in Clacton. That's how he got elected there in the first place. So would a win in Clacton really mean he's popular throughout the country? I don't know, and I don't think we could say, really.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one, because he was elected in the first place to Clacton. His mandate hasn't changed. And I'm going to disagree with you. I think that his mandate is not relevant at all. I think that this might even be, and I'm going to leave this open, I think this might even be him being scared of Burnham. Because Farage has been seen in the polls, certainly before Starmer left, as being the most powerful leader. Not necessarily the most popular, because that was not his place in the polls, but his place in the polls was very much who the most powerful leader is, and who's the best leader, not the most popular, but he's the best. And I think he is scared of Burnham, and I think he is making a very risky move right now, because Reform is not in the most popular position. I think we can all agree on that. And his policies haven't changed. He's still very much a man of immigration, or a man against immigration. And I don't think his mandate's going to change at all.
But would you argue this is more about a Nigel Farage mandate or a Reform UK mandate as a whole? Is Reform Nigel Farage? Or is Nigel Farage Reform?
I mean, I'm going to jump in for you here. I'm sorry, but it absolutely is. And I'm going to disagree and agree with you. The mandate is completely irrelevant because, Clacton isn't representative of the entire country. It's a very, I'd argue, small, both politically and geographically, right? It doesn't have a big weight on the rest of the UK. But, Nigel Farage is definitely, I think he is scared of Burnham. His image is Reform, right? You don't think of Reform without Nigel Farage. And, I think most people could argue that Reform without Nigel Farage would collapse. And, I wouldn't argue that they've got very strong politicians or, not as strong a speaker. Like, I think, did you go to Politics Con? I know you did.
Yeah, Farage is their strongest speaker.
And Farage is their strongest speaker. We saw Richard Tice, and he's this fully grown man arguing with 16-year-olds. And, we got to see him turn around and say, no, take it back, apologise. And it was very reminiscent of a kind of like argument in front of a teacher or, mum, he said, she said. And I think you can't really establish a strong party without someone to manage all of that. And I think Nigel Farage is very good at doing that, but he's the only person who can agree with them.
And Farage...
I will agree on that, saying it's kind of seems to be more of a school. Farage seems to be the headmaster. Without him, the rest of the party is a laughing stock.
Exactly.
Oh,
I do think...
I think even with him, they are kind of seen as a bit of a laughing stock.
They really are. I think there is a bigger ulterior motive to why he's called this by-election, to why he's standing down in a sense, and that's kind of, he knows he's under scrutiny for this large donation he's received for not declaring it. So I think he's trying to do this by-election to give the public something else to focus on. He wants the focus to be away from his bigger problems, which would save himself. It would save the Reform Party, because he is the Reform Party. I will agree with you on that. But I feel like it's giving the press something else to focus on. It's giving the press, actually, this is all or nothing. The donation that's not been declared, apparently, that's not really all or nothing. That is, it will give him a massive amount of scrutiny, and it might kick him out of Westminster with no route back. This is him leaving himself with a route back. That actually, if he does get a route back, it could give him a stronger mandate. It shows people, actually, some people do still want him there, and it will kind of
reaffirm himself.
Reaffirm him in his position.
Again, I'm going to disagree with you and agree to some extent, because I do not think that Nigel Farage has done this as some last-minute decision. I think he was always planning to run for the by-election. I think he's a very, or at least that's my personal opinion. I think he's a man who is very kind of, he wants himself to be in that limelight. We know that. Politics is not his main concern, as far as, I'm knowledgeable. I do not think Nigel Farage's main concern is politics whatsoever. I think he does want himself to be in the spotlight, and he wants himself in a position of power. I don't think he doesn't care about politics, right? I think he does, just in his own way. He wants to be ahead of it. And I think this is a last-minute decision in the sense that he wants it to come across that way. This is Nigel Farage putting one foot down for power, right?
Yeah.
But I think this is either going to go very, very well for him or very, very terribly well.
I agree.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, it's a last-minute decision, and it just so happens that this is going to shift away press focus. He's always in some kind of scandal. We've seen him in big scandals before, right? And we've never seen him take a really, truly extremist step. He just tries to get himself back out there.
He's always on the precipice.
He's always you know, on the borderline of falling into immense public disfavor. But it's not necessarily that doesn't mean that everything he does in response to it is going to be because of that.
Yeah, I will say, I think we have seen in scandals before. We've never really seen him in a large scandal, as there's also a massive leadership change happening elsewhere within Westminster.
Yeah.
I feel like this is kind of his opportunity. He sees the press is focusing on Burnham and Starmer.
Yeah. Well, it's a weakness, isn't it?
It's a weakness for them, but I think if he can he's got enough press attention from his scandal. If he can get more press attention and shift it away from the scandal, suddenly there's this massive thing. If he does get re-elected into this seat through the by-election, which you said that he'd been planning for a while, if that is true, he gets re-elected into Clacton, and that suddenly puts the press on a massive tangent about how actually Burnham's going in without a public vote for him. He's had Makefield.
Yeah.
Farage has a public vote, Clacton, and then if he gets elected in, he's stayed as the leader of the party. There's not been a major leadership change without
It's like,
public
come at
say.
me now kind of thing.
Yeah, it's essentially him trying to seem like Reform has a bigger mandate than Labour because it's not been a
100%.
leadership change without the public's consent.
I think it's very much a high risk, high reward situation. And you're right. I kind of agree that he's been planning it for ages. I think it's been an option on the table for a while, ever since
that's the
that
better
came
way
out.
of putting it, I'd say.
And he's taken a gamble, I think. He's taken very much a gamble. And I think
Which we've seen historically.
Yeah,
and it has worked for people.
Yeah.
But is it going to work for him?
Yeah, he's gambling on the fact that he can get re-elected. And if so, he can take that point. You can go, oh, you want to come for me? I have the mandate of the people. Are you going to piss them off? We are still the biggest party in polls, because they are, in the country. We are still the most popular. If I can get re-elected,
Anything
come
can
try me.
happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I have got a question for any of you guys. Do you reckon Nigel Farage is going to use the fact that Labour's essentially putting in a new PM? Do you reckon he's, without the public vote, do you reckon he's going to use this fact to try and push for a general election if he gets
100%.
re-elected?
He's
really
been
has.
pushing. Yeah, he's been pushing for a general election. For
Furthermore,
months.
though, if he gets re-elected, he's going to then, as Angus said, claim he's got the public likes him. Do you think he'd use that and really push?
I think that's a very important point because, again, I think he's going to play into his new fresh mandate if he gets re-elected, because he'll go into PMQs and he'll be like, I am him, I am, the best person in the world. I just got re-elected. Burnham just got re-elected and you're chatting him up. I just got re-elected. Doesn't that mean that I deserve to be Prime Minister? I think that is the stance that he might take.
Yes,
he will sit there and he'll go, I've been re-elected. I now have a mandate by the people. That means you should judge. It will never happen. Labour will never just let their majority go away when they still have 3 years left.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. He will now stand up and put up his middle finger to the rest of the Commons and say, I want a general election. And I think he'll, similar to how Trump is with Iran, he'll be hoping for that public support to then allow him to bypass the Commons to trigger that.
Just on that note, and I do think we need to remember as well that Nigel Farage is a very conflicting person of himself, right? Like with Iran and the US, he is the first person to say that he does not believe in any kind of foreign aid. And, his manifesto is that they want to cap it at $1 billion per year for all foreign affairs. And this was also the same guy who turned around as soon as, the UK did agree to let the US use some of our some of our air bases. He said it was about time that, they had to have had
he's
them all
gone back
along.
all the time, even with the council taxes.
Yeah, but I think this, on that note, is a chance for him to turn around when he gets to that point, because I think he will put out some kind of new-ish manifesto, or at least he'll talk about it, for him to really put down what full fact he wants to do, rather than just throwing in conflicting opinions all the time.
I would like to pose a question to you, which is, it hasn't just been Reform UK calling for a general election. It has been the Liberal Democrats. It has been other parties across the floor, which says Andy Burnham's what now seems to be a coronation route into number 10. Dare I say, Reform is the only party that seems to be taking actual action against that potential coronation at the moment. While all the other parties are just talk. That's just a view I'm going to throw out there.
I agree on that, because I feel like recently in the media, and you look at any news channel, Sky, BBC, GB News even, although GB News is fairly on Reform's side, You'll notice Reform is the only party really getting media coverage about this.
Yeah.
Lib Dems haven't appeared in the media for any reason for a
name
long,
the last
long,
time
long
you saw anything about Lib
Greens,
Dems.
even the Greens have kind of dropped out of it since Burnham came back in and
they're
Farage
doing a
came
different
in.
tactic. They want to avoid Polanski getting that public scrutiny by just being quiet.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do agree that actually I think Reform is going to be the main party to push for this general election. I think they're going to get the public on their side, and whether the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party will help them with this, I think it's impossible to tell because there's been absolutely no coverage of them whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point.
I don't think it's necessarily wrong to call for a general election in the situations like this,
No,
though.
it's not.
I think it is a valid take to believe in a general election in situations like these. Of course, then you have the issue of our government's going to fall apart every few months instead of every few years.
Well, they
but
kind of do
Yeah.
fall apart every 3 months.
They-
We're seeing this
7
now.
PMs
They
in
do.
10 years.
7 PMs in 10 years is 3 in 1 year, by the way. And, that was just coming out of COVID. We can't handle crises anymore.
I think the country does need stability for a bit. I think the public's got too impatient, and this is where I'll come back to Starmer. I think Starmer was far too overhated. I think he just wasn't given the time. He's got 3 years left. He's resigned now. But there were still 3 years there, and nothing happens like that in politics. You really need the time. I think if we went to a general election, I think it's inevitable we see in another 2 years another general election happening, because while in theory it's more democratic to have a general election for something like this, it just upsets the stability of the political state of this country, and that can really upset basically everything throughout the country because it all affects interest rates, it affects stocks, everything. It's massive, and it just upsets everything within the country.
Just to interject there, Oscar, I'm going to disagree with you again on on Starmer, particularly, not necessarily him in general, but just in the sense that 3 years isn't enough time, and I completely disagree with that. I think the biggest issue with Labour is that they promised all these things, and I'd say that's most modern politicians' problem, right? Is that they promise all these things and never get them done. I think that's going to be Reform's issue. Like I said earlier, he promises all these things. They never actually tell us how they're going to get to them, and if you promise something, if someone votes for you, and then turn around 3 years, which is 3/4 of the way in, 75%, which is a good lot, and say, actually, we haven't had enough time, that's completely misleading to the public. You've had more than half your time to get stuff done. And, we see it with Trump. He promises these things, he never lets them happen. We are seeing it with Nigel Farage. He promises these things, and he's not giving us any idea of how he's going to reach them.
So I will just ask a question to you and open it up to everyone as well. When was the last time a leader got something significant completed in their term, fully completed, in a single term, let alone half a term?
This
anyway,
will probably be the last question for the group now.
I mean, I'd argue the last time we did see it was probably Boris Johnson with the COVID lockdowns. And that's only because that was an emergency situation.
Yeah,
I think given there wasn't one, he would not have been able to achieve half of what he did.
So what about,
half of that was as a public
What about without an emergency situation, just a general bill being passed, a general new laws coming in, new regulations being passed through the government in a time of relative normalcy within
Starmer's government passed quite a few of their mandate.
Exactly.
Actually, almost over 30, or even, in fact, over 30 of their mandate. May they have been small, but they did do that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
I
think
mean,
they were
that's the
getting
thing.
things
They
done
get
there.
small things done, but I think that doesn't appeal to the public anymore. I mean, when I say they pass practically nothing, I mean they pass nothing of significance, really. And the things they do, like the social media acts, the phone bans in schools, they're only popular with a certain majority. And I'd say, don't get me wrong, we're probably biased, we're teenagers, but at the end of the day, these things aren't going to last very well because they've passed this right as they're about to leave. It's the only significant thing they've done, and it's the first thing that's received backlash. All the digital IDs, 400,000 signatures, albeit I'd say half of them are from teenage boys. But but it's still a really significant amount. It's the highest we've had on practically any petition to change a law.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching Talk Politics, episode 7. Please follow us on Instagram and please like and subscribe this. It'll be very, 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 very good for us in terms of publicity and stuff. Yeah, please go and interact with the Instagram. It'd be great. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you guys. It was great fun. I loved it. It was really interesting.
I've been Angus.
And I'm Anna, and I'd like to say one more thank you to Max Media for allowing us to record today. And hopefully I should be back. I've been a couple weeks ill, but we look forward to doing more episodes. And again, thank you for listening to this emergency episode of Talk Politics.
Thank you.